Well, as you can see, it's Saturday, July the 20th here in Illinois, 2024, and I have a lot of clover, and there's so many bees out on this clover. Next to me, I have a soybean field, and it's flowering, and I've kind of looked and I don't see any bees out there on the soybean field, but the clover is still popping in July, late July. And so that means there's still a pretty good honey flow. Well, happy Saturday to you. Hope you're having a great Saturday. You know, growing up, the weekends were always something that I really look forward to because I really didn't like school that much. School wasn't terribly fun for me because I was more of an outdoorsy kind of guy. I liked to ride my bike, play with my friends, dig holes in the backyard. When I was a kid, we didn't have much to do inside the house. We didn't have internet or, well, we had 3 channels, you know, so there wasn't much to do indoors, and we always liked to play outside. School kind of made me feel the same way. I was like, I'm so trapped in school, I want to go outside and play. But it's good, it's Saturday, and I'm just walking around the 5 acres here today because we've got some good weather, no wind at all today. It's like a rare meteorological phenomenon for Illinois, not to have any wind. But one of the things that I'm kind of looking at around the property is, are my bees still foraging? What kind of foraging opportunities do my bees have today? And of course, they do have all that clover, Dutch clover on the ground. They're really hitting that hard. And I'm not seeing them out on the beans, like I said. But one of the things that I noticed was the bees that are on the Dutch clover actually have a darker color pollen on their back legs. And I think a lot of times we look at the flower and we say, well, the flower on the clover is white, you know, so that means that the pollen is probably going to be white. Well, that doesn't stand true because we all know that the pollen can be a variety of different colors. So what we're going to do today, follow me on this Saturday. My brain is always working. I'm kind of always thinking about what to do about different kind of ways to find out information that I want to know. So I want to know what color pollen the clover has. Some of you may already know that, but what we're going to do together, we're actually going to go out there and find a bee on clover. And we're going to actually just cage her, grab her while she's got her pollen baskets filled up. And then we're going to bring her into the refrigerator to put her to sleep for a minute. That's what refrigerators are good for when you're working bees. And then we're going to bring her out and I'm going to put her under my little microscope, and I'll leave a link in the description below where you can pick up these little microscopes for, I think, under 30 bucks. And we're going to look up close to see what color Dutch clover pollen is. Won't that be fun? Let's get to work. Now, I have always been a tinker. I like to tinker around with things. That's what I love so much about beekeeping. All my life, I started beekeeping almost 30 years ago, and I love tinkering with things, with bees, and that's why I've discovered things about bees, just tinkering around with them. And so I've been thinking today, now I've captured a lot of bees for different experiments that I've ran, and one that I did a long time ago was I took a 2-liter like Coke bottle and I cut the top of it off and inverted it and captured bees that way. That really worked good. So I know there's a lot of things, and you might want to leave a comment and tell me what works better for you, but what works good for me is just finding stuff laying around the house. I'm a cheapo. You know, most of my life, I haven't had a nickel to rub against a nickel. And so I've had to, you know, kind of create my own ways of making things work without buying something, without paying for something. And so what I found laying around was a water bottle, empty water bottle. And so I just took a utility knife like this, and I just cut right above the label so that what we have is this, 2 little parts. And so now this top part, well, now I can actually go out and put this over a bee and she'll fly up to the top, and I can use this to hold her in. And then I can transport this to the refrigerator and let her stay in there for a little bit, and then she gets anesthetized by the cold air. Of course, she gets where she's not moving. It doesn't hurt her. Believe me, I've done this a lot, but it gives me a chance to work her under the microscope without her flying away. And then we can examine the pollen, see what color it is, and look at it more closely. I mean, this is going to be like raw pollen right out of the clover plant before she even has a chance to get it back to the hive. So this is a neat little thing. Now, another thing that I do is, I don't have to, but I feel like I need to poke holes in here. And so, you know, I can just take this plastic water bottle and just poke some breathing holes. But remember, bees don't, they don't need the air that we need by far. And there's enough air in this little compartment here, this bottle, from the time that I pick it up and take her to the refrigerator. Plenty of air in there to sustain her. But, you know, I'm always, like a little kid, I was always collecting bugs, and I'd get a, you know, canning jar, poke holes in the top of it. Leave a comment if you did that. I had so many bug collections too when I was a kid. You know, you poke the nails in them, put them in a piece of styrofoam, research what kind of bugs they are. That's before the internet, you know. And then you'd have a cool bug collection. Anyway, I poke some holes in here just because it makes me feel better. But let's go out and capture a forager with that's out there bouncing across the clover with a pollen basket that's full. And then we'll bring it in and freeze her. Not really freeze her, but chill her. And then she'll get really motionless, and we'll put her under the microscope. All right, here we have a bee. Let's see if we can get her. Oh, we did. Wow, that easy. And you can see some pollen on her back legs. So let's go ahead and take her inside. Okay, so here's the refrigerator for out in my little bee lab. So there's the bee under the little cap there walking around. I'm gonna put her right in here, and I'm gonna leave her in here. We're gonna not leave her in here any longer. We have to, maybe 3-ish minutes, and see how long it takes her to go to sleep. Let's check back soon. Now, before we find out what color this pollen is, let me pop in here and say, please subscribe. We're getting really close to 150,000 subscribers, and you know, only half of my viewers are subscribers. I need to get the rest, the other half of you to come on in and subscribe. Now, let's get back and see what color this pollen is. All right, well, it's a little tricky to get the bees centered, and as you can tell, she's starting to wake up a little bit, so I'm having to work fast. But there's the color, kind of an orange, almost lightly brown orange color. So that is amazing. All right, so we're done with the little experiment. So we brought her back outside. Now, some of you may be asking or wondering, how long do you keep them in the refrigerator? Well, I kept her in there probably 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes at about 37 degrees. And that really wasn't long enough. She just got to moving a little bit too much. The reason you don't hurt them is because as long as you don't freeze them, then they're fine. But you can see right now, she's just gonna kind of clean everything up. She's cleaning off her antennae, she's cleaning her mouth parts. Got a little wet from the water bottle. If I did that experiment again, I think I would dry out the water bottle first, because that diluted the pollen down. You can still see that she has some on her hind legs a little bit. But anyway, you can see it kind of on the plate, the color as well. It's a little bit of a kind of an orangish brown color from the clover. And we'll just sit here a minute, and I want you to see her fly away. And again, I'll leave a little link in the description below where you can pick up these high-powered digital microscopes you can hook to your cell phone and look at bees up close. It's pretty cool. Yeah, she does have to warm up a little bit from being in the refrigerator. So she's going to warm all the muscle up again and get ready for flight. Maybe even dry off a little bit. Wings probably got a little wet. What do you say, any minute? Oh, she landed on that flower right there. Gosh, she's back to work already. Dang, she didn't miss a lick. She flew right to that flower. That's amazing. Well, that's proof that putting them in the refrigerator doesn't bother them at all. Resume the workload. We know this one's good that she's on, so let's take that one. Oh, she won't get off of it. Amazing. This is stuff that I like to do on a Saturday. I guess if you did this enough, you could determine if there's mites that get transferred around on flowers when bees land on them. Really working that flower over. Must have a lot of nectar in it for her to be going to every little part of the flower. Yeah, let's see if we can get her onto a different one. Oh, she's on my hand now. Yep. Let's see, let's let her walk over onto that flower maybe. Oh, there she is. All right, well, let's take this one in and look at it. So here is the clover under the microscope. And, you know, again, $20, $30 microscope, but gets the job done. You can see really close. If you play with it long enough, you can really focus it a lot better. I didn't try to focus it as well as I should have. But notice here, look at the pollen that is in the clover flower right there. Do you see the color? It's kind of an orange, yellowish color there. Here's the little microscope that I was using, and you can see I was zooming in on the flower there. I'll leave a link in the description where you can purchase one of these. Again, I think they're $20 or $30, and boy, you can see a lot. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me on this Saturday doing fun stuff like this. That's just how you discover stuff, and it's pretty cool how you can just sit there and decide what color pollen is on different plants by picking the bee off and then refrigerate her a little bit, take a look at her pollen baskets. Pretty impressive, isn't it? Well, that's just a hoot. Another thing that a lot of you have been asking me is how late in the season can you still make splits or get frames drawn out? I just made a video to answer that question. Look at it right over here. See you guys over there.